with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival. This is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together we can be the change.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food?
Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp,
tofu, and rasta pasta?
Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock.
In downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m.
Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock.
In downtown Atlanta.
For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992.
Or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com.
For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant.
Authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell them mama hungry.
This is right.
Yeah.
I love my HBCU, and boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU, and man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavill, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor.
Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Man, we're live on Radio Row here in Atlanta, Georgia for the Cricket Wireless Celebration Bowl 2021. It's been 2 years. We're back. And we have two guests. We'll bring them in shortly and get them to tell them a little bit about yourself. Colonel Greg, let me get that right in turn because he's looking the part.
Hey, very much so.
I wish I could be that clear. Captain. Yeah, you know those titles in terms of the army. You get it right there. They put out there, man. What you doing? You earned that already? No problems. Captain. So with that going on, welcome to the show inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Mike is still on assignment. He's got delayed in terms of his flight. You know how that happens. So he'll be in here this evening, and we'll haze him a little bit there in terms of what that looks like. Charles, tell them how you doing.
Doing well, doing well. Back here on Radio Row again. Looking forward to an exciting Celebration Bowl. Jackson State 11-1 coming in. South Carolina State 6-5. Plenty of matchups that we're going to get into during the course of the day, but tremendously festive atmosphere from the banquet last night at the College Football Hall of Fame to the teams touring Coca-Cola. I mean, it has been a first-class representation of the SWAC and the MEAC here at the Celebration Bowl.
This is Dr. Cavill, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Welcome to episode 221 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, radio show and podcast, the special segment as we're on Radio Row, as you heard. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. From institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We're filming live Radio Row in the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. With that, let's get started. Bring on our guest officially. As we said, we have Captain Greg. Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Hometown product of Florence, South Carolina. Been in the Army now about 14 years. Coming up on my 14th year.
Thank you for your service.
I appreciate your support. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Graduate of North Carolina A&T, Aggie Pride.
Of course.
Pride.
Yes, indeed.
Got my bachelor's in African American history. Attempted, multiple attempts to play semi-pro basketball. Playing for, multiple All-Army basketball, post teams. Just trying to stay in the groove.
What position did you play? Did you play with the Aggie program?
Oh, yeah.
Aggie
Pride. Aggie Hoops. So I went to A&T 2006, 7, and 8. Graduated in 2008.
Okay.
Like I said, I got my bachelor's in African American history. Then I joined the Army shortly afterwards. I enlisted in 2008 for about 4 or 5 years. Then I went to OCS, Officer School Graduate. And then now you see before you right now, Company Commander Captain Greg from the recruiting company in Florence, South Carolina.
Yeah, boy.
Let me ask this question. How did playing basketball kind of prepare you for your career in the Army?
Honestly, just always given that. Well, we have this terminology at A&T what Aggies do, and it's pretty much where you give it all you got, no matter what, and no matter if you're facing adversity or you just good at what you do.
Sure.
So it naturally prepared me for everything. A&T prepared me for anything the Army could offer to me.
That's awesome.
That's Charles Bishop there. As we get back into it, let me go back a little bit in terms of growing up in South Carolina, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
But you had the choice of South Carolina State, I'm sure, North Carolina A&T. Tell us a little bit about the recruiting process. Who other may have been options out there for you?
Well, I went on a couple visits coming out of high school. So I went to a prep school in Texas after I left South Carolina my senior year. I went to Heritage Christian Academy. Had one great teammate in Von Keaton Wafer.
Very familiar with
Heritage Christian Academy.
Mm-hmm.
My teammate Von Keaton Wafer, he played at Florida State, and then he went to the pros. It was not as much as you would believe. I mean, I went on a few visits. I went to Hampton. I went to Florida State. I went to Virginia, University of Virginia, and then I injured my foot at one of the tryouts. So I went to a JUCO back in Texas, and then I got
What JUCO in Texas?
Belen College.
Yep.
I was actually there the same year as Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, I was about to say.
Yep. Same year he was there.
So I went to undergrad at Prairie View.
Okay,
so all that area, so very familiar. I live in Houston now.
It.
He lives in Houston now. So
yeah, I know all about it. So went there, left from there, and went to Lincoln Trail in Robinson, Illinois. And then from there, went to A&T full scholarship, 2006, 7, and 8.
So how many full seasons did you have at A&T?
3.
You had the 3. Okay.
I redshirted my first year there because of the transition, and then I played my last 2 years.
Good. So what kind of numbers you put up? Let's talk about the ball.
I mean, I ain't gonna say I was no whole.
No, you got skill. We ain't gonna try to say whether you all the fame. We just want to know what you do, what you working with.
I mean, I'll say because of course you got to work your way up and build up to it. So I had a decent first year there, and then my senior year, it was just competitive. There's a lot of dogs around that campus, you believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So during that time, A&T was pretty competitive in terms of the MEAC.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you had your General North Carolina Central, that rival with the Eagles as they were going through at Hampton, as you talked about. They were still in the conference at the time.
Yep.
Morgan State,
Morgan
Bozeman,
State.
ruining time. So where were you in terms of the total Fast Men program ranking-wise? Where did y'all finish?
So my first year there, we finished number 3, I believe, in 2006. 2007, I think we finished. We went to the MEAC championship. We played at the MEAC championship. We lost at the buzzer by 2.
Yeah, I remember that now.
You can't forget that.
Follow question.
You can't forget that.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking.
I know. Well, I'm always curious about the dynamic in terms of you grew up in South Carolina, but you have all these HBCUs between North Carolina, South Carolina, but just
College Row.
Yeah, just kind of navigating that space. What was that like being from that part of the country?
Oh man, the HBCU environment in that area is just overwhelmingly great. It just provides so much opportunity just to, like I said, meet different people. I have lifelong friends right now from just being an A&T graduate.
Sure.
That environment is just different. It's unexplainable how different it is. It's the culture.
No doubt about it. Let's speed it forward a little bit. Now you're here with the Celebration Bowl. Army is partnering with the Celebration Bowl, that part of it. But you talking about those long-lasting friends. Connect us in terms of those friendships, in terms of who you have with us as well.
Well, the Army and just being here is about diversity. The Army is about diversity. We're excited about being here, just as a representation of what the Army can offer young African-American males and females from these HBCUs. Me being a walking product of it, I can tell you from experience, it's just a great opportunity.
Sure.
Like Prairie View has our ROTC, Navy program. No South Carolina State is big. A&T has that as well. I'm not sure you had time playing basketball to do both.
Yeah, A&T has it. We used to be doing basketball conditioning during preseason, and we'll see them out there running. I was like, nah, not me. Not me. But you look at me now, and I'm like, oh, man.
Look at God, right?
Hey.
So connect that. How did this happen in terms of eventually, look at you now?
Well, so I had a great mentor in a police officer back home, Terrence Caraway. He got killed in duty a couple years ago, but I came home from college, graduated from college, and he was a prior service Air Force as well. So he pretty much he saw how distraught I was about not being able to play professional after college or whatnot. So I was at home. He pretty much walked me to one of the recruiting stations and was like, make a decision. But luckily, because I had the basketball background, he put me in contact with the All-Army Sports Program, where it allowed me to still be able to play basketball throughout my Army career, which I'll still continue to now. I'm playing for Fort Bragg's post team. So it's definitely great. It's a great opportunity.
So tell me a little bit of how you enjoyed the festivities thus far. In terms of being connected with the event? Oh
man, it's just exciting. So typically, my alma mater, A&T, we always here. We're always here, being in the Celebration Bowl. So the culture, the environment, the energy, it never wavers. Never wavers. Even without us being in here, Jackson State bringing about 60,000 people, selling out the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I'm looking forward to the game. Getting on ground last night, seeing all these people, seeing the culture, seeing the energy. It's a whole, how they say, a whole vibe.
Yes, it is.
Well, as they say, for the culture.
For the culture.
With that, obviously, you don't want to get too in this. Leaders make decisions, and you follow those decisions. Mm-hmm. Is there a part of you that kind of misses the fact that A&T was not in the MEAC with the opportunity to be here? How do you kind of...
I'll say this.
That's fair.
I'm always be MEAC.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm always be MEAC.
Yeah.
Whether the Aggies are represented here or not, we still here in heart because this is our baby. Like Coach says, show me my money when we get that win.
Of course.
That's a classic.
Classic.
That will never go away.
Classic.
Who do you have here with you?
Go ahead and introduce yourself, Mr. Shannon.
How you doing? My name is Shannon Lindsay. I'm the Advertising and Public Affairs for Atlanta Recruiting Battalion, and we're one of the major sponsors for the MEAC SWAC Celebration Bowl. So we invited Captain Greg come down because of his experience with the HBCUs and his experience with being an Army officer in that transition to relate to HBCUs and also playing in a high level of sports. So we just saw that connection and how he can relate to being an Army officer and also playing the sports, being a world-class athlete. So we invited him down to come down and just represent for the culture, as you guys said. So we just wanted to make sure that he came down to represent, even though he doesn't fall in our footprint, because we represent the state of Georgia. He falls up under South Carolina, but South Carolina's represented at the MEAC SWAC, so we wanted him to come down and participate.
Makes sense. Well done, well done. Before we get you out of there, I know you have a busy schedule and appreciate you taking your time with this. Ask you first, anything that you want to get out to the people that we may not have discussed, and then we'll follow up the same question for you.
Yep.
One of the main reasons the Army partnership with the MEAC SWAC is because we want the Army to represent what the United States looks like, which is diversity. And we're big on diversity in the United States Army. And having that Army representation, especially with our Army officership and that leadership, we need the Army to have that diversity in our leadership and growing our Army officers to be those generals, those leaderships, those people that are out front telling others what to do, how to follow, how to be mentors in the United States Army. So that's one of the main reasons we partnership with the college atmosphere. So that is one of the main reasons, and we want that diversity to continue to grow.
I really appreciate that you talk about it from that perspective, because oftentimes we don't share that history enough in terms of where we're everywhere. And we are part of the legacy of this country no matter what you look at it. In fact, you know, I have a direct connection with my grandfather, Japhus Pitt Cavill. Senior was the first Army ROTC graduate of Prairie View A&M University, the first of two that graduated with that class at Prairie in the 40s. Went over there. So I have a great and immense appreciation of what you all are doing protecting this country. Last comment there, go ahead.
So like he said about diversity, I take pride in being a walking product of exactly that. Yes, sir. So being in my hometown, I really, a lot of times when I'm speaking to the youth in the schools and in the community, I try to harp on the fact that I am a walking product of exactly what they're facing daily. So I carry myself as such. And just being able to show them, because you know, in today's age, these kids they don't want to hear all the talk. You gotta show them. You gotta show them.
Yes, indeed.
You gotta show them success. So I stand on being a walking product of success from where I came from.
That's awesome. I really appreciate
not a product of my environment, but a product of what I stand for.
Yes, indeed. That's awesome.
And you stand well. We appreciate it, and we stand with you and for you. Appreciate it again. Thank you for your time. This is Dr. Cavill, inside the HBCU, showing you a little information about Captain Greg.
I appreciate you.
The Army.
Appreciate it.
Welcome. Take care. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
We'll take a quick break, and then we'll get right back to it and get into some of the action and talk, see if we get some other ones. What was that you just did there?
Oh, well, look at that.
Oh, God, more alphas.
I appreciate you.
Yes, indeed.
8-5, baby. Yeah. Yeah, we're just Dr. Ville, inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We're going to take a break here. Hope you enjoyed the interview there. We got a little excited there in terms of that, so go ahead.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and Instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars, plus personal customer service.
Press the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab here on Radio Row in Atlanta. I started to say Houston. It's been a long week already.
Yes, indeed.
We're having guests setting up here, so we'll bring in Brigadier General Davis.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I am well. How are you?
Awesome.
Well, pretty good. Let's jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Why the Army? How did you get in deciding to go to the Army? And before we do that, let me say thank you for your service.
Oh, you're very welcome. So my name is Brigadier General Daphne Davis. I'm the Deputy Commanding General for Support for the United States Army Recruiting Command. Quite honestly, I wish that I had joined the Army out of some patriotic convention, but it was all about the money when I started.
I understand.
I mean, that's the truth, right? I was a college kid, didn't want to work fast food, and they said, hey, if you take this class called ROTC, we'll give you $100 a month.
Wow.
Sign me up, and there I was.
Look at it, and look where you are now.
I know. You couldn't have told me this 30 years ago.
Well, that's an interesting question, because when you take a look at rising through the ranks of the Army to get to the position that you're at now, talk about that process and how you went about making it happen.
So I'll tell you that throughout my career, quite honestly, it's simple. Let God lead and keep plugging away. That's it. You know, hard work, due diligence, and one of the good things about the Army is that they do reward hard work and due diligence. You get rewarded and you get promoted, and here I am.
Wow.
Before we transition a little bit in terms of your experience over this week in terms of the Celebration Bowl and why the connection and why that makes you, tell us. It's my understanding that you have a connection with HBCUs yourself. What is that connection?
I do. My baby boy is a HBCU college student today. He's a North Carolina A&T Aggie Pride.
All right.
And
guys are all over the place here.
Isn't that right? They're everywhere. And he's also signed up for the ROTC program, and when he graduates and finishes his degree in psychology, he'll be an Army officer as well.
That's got to be a proud legacy to continue that.
Oh, absolutely
legacy.
It is.
As I shared with the last guest we had, my connection with my grandfather was the first of two Army ROTC graduates of Prairie View when they started the program in the 40s.
Oh, wow.
So it's a huge legacy for me in terms of making that connection.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about that historically, where you are, we don't always want to frame the history, but in a lot of ways you're making history in terms of where you've been able to travel your path Talk about the importance that may bring outside of yourself to the bigger picture.
Absolutely. So, sometimes people ask me why I do it, and besides the fact that I'm having fun, I do it because your grandfather did it, right?
Thank you.
I did it for him. I did it for my grandfather, and I do it for my son, and I do it for all of those other brown and black young men and women that need to look up and see it's possible. It's possible, and I can do great things. I don't have to stay stuck.
Sure.
And that's why I do it.
With that sporting context, are you a sports fan?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, don't ask me to pick between the teams. I'm not going to do it.
We don't do that here. We do analysis, so we don't even pick. So you're fine with that.
All right.
We just want to talk about what do you enjoy about the game?
What do I enjoy about the game?
Mm-hmm.
I love football just because of the excellence. Those athletes on that field, when you talk about self-sacrifice that they've done to get to where they are, when you talk about discipline, boy, I see a brownie, and it's hard for me to pass that brownie up. But those athletes out there on the field, their diet, their exercise, the discipline that they put in to become the excellent athletes that they are, it's unreal. It's unreal to see them perform, and I just enjoy it.
I don't feel as bad now because I can't pass up the brownie.
Exactly.
I can't pass up a brownie.
What has your experience been here at the Celebration Bowl?
What has my experience been? I have just had a blast. Just quite honestly, I have just had a blast. I'm here, I'm supposed to be working, and I'm like, this is too much fun. This is too much fun. I'm just having a great time talking to people, and it's just a joy to be here, and I'm honored that we were invited to attend.
No doubt about it. We could hog all the times, but I understand they also want to make sure that you can talk with some of the other Radio Row folks. But so, final question we have for you is, anything that you want to share that we may not have asked in terms of just to provide some information for those that are watching?
Yeah, what I would share is I often hear that the Army is not for a black man or the Army is not for a black woman, and I would have to say that that's false. I would say that there's some misrepresentation out there, and I would say that the Army in and of itself highly values diversity. The Army is getting better at diversity every single day, and if we're walking away from that opportunity, we're failing ourselves. We're failing ourselves.
I agree with that. I like the fact that you never know what people's facet in life and what direction they want to go.
Absolutely.
So all opportunities should be on the table. And we want to thank you again for your service. Thank you for representing us in terms of this country, us as people of African descent, and as a woman. So appreciate all that you do and will continue to do. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
This is Dr. Cavill inside the HBCU Sports Lab as we transition there, getting going. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Exchanging some cards here.
Yes, indeed.
Appreciate that information there. So, before we get into some of this action as we're getting going, it seems like they're bringing some players in here for us to talk to as well. So we get into action. How has your experience been here?
It's been tremendous, Doc. I mean, when you stop and
this
think,
is different for you.
It's completely different for me. I mean, to come here and my boyhood team is here at the Celebration Bowl taking on South Carolina State. I'm just looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be tremendous. Two great football teams, and we have a guest here with us now, a member of the South Carolina State football team. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Zafir Kelly.
Zafir Kelly, defensive back for South Carolina State, 3 interceptions thus far on the season.
You bad boy.
You bad man. Yes. Welcome in. Welcome to Dr. Gill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
Tell us a little bit about how did you end up getting to South Carolina State. Let's start from there, and you can even tell us where you're from.
I'm originally from Syracuse, New York, but I moved to South Carolina a couple years ago.
Okay.
Like as a kid, so I ended up at South Carolina State. They came to my school during weightlifting out of nowhere. So once they came, I did my research on them. I already heard about them through prior athletes that went to the league. So once they sent me the offer, I was like, yeah, I'm going here. Like the history, the legacy, and everything that the prior athletes done paid for this. So I wanted to follow in that.
So how's the experience? Sound like it's been good the way you talk about it, but how has the experience been?
It's great, man. I mean, it's HBCU life. Like I say,
I love it. The
athlete-
culture.
Yeah, the culture, man. And so, like, the prior athletes, like Darius Leonard, I got the opportunity to play with him starting my freshman year. So
Wow.
it was great seeing him, like, do what he do. And then now he in the league, one of the highest paid linebackers. So that was really, like, great just to see the culture still going, and they paved the way for us.
Speaking of that South Carolina State culture, that tradition, South Carolina State doesn't take a backseat to any school in terms of the pride and tradition for NFL Hall of Famers. But talk about playing in a program like that.
It's great, man. It's really, like you said, we don't take a backseat to nobody, so it's like, it's a standard. It's really a standard. You know, we put a lot of defensive players in the league, so, you know, defensively we got a standard, and we try to hold that standard across the board.
Sure.
I like playing to that standard. Before we open up the mic and you can introduce that, I want to ask you, is any story you can tell us about Leonard?
Oh, man.
We're on TV
Where
now,
do we
so-
start?
Man, if anybody know D a clown, but on that field, he a maniac.
Oh, wow.
We got a chance to see him up close in the MEAC SWAC Challenge when South Carolina State played Southern down at Baton Rouge. I mean, you talk about flying around all over the place.
Yeah, and this is way better when you on the field. You get to view it. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Appreciate you sharing that. Who do you have with us?
This our D coordinator, Jonathan Saxon.
Oh,
Slappy.
this ought to be good.
Coach.
Coach.
How you guys doing?
I'm going to say coach. I ain't going to use the term there. I don't know you like that. So, Coach, tell us a little bit about, first, this young man.
Zafir, man, I've known him since a freshman. I got to see him grow. You know, this is one of my guys I'm close to. You know, see him grow, start as a freshman, and just, you know, matriculate through the process.
That's pretty amazing.
Coach, you guys have had a formidable schedule this past season, taking on FBS opponents as well as some SWAC opponents. But is there a team that Jackson State sort of reminds you of?
That Clemson style, spread you out. It's a mixture between Clemson, Alabama A&M, FAMU. Throw it around all over the place and can run the football. You know, they're an explosive team. They do a great job getting their playmakers in space and letting them make plays.
You know, I've been taking notes watching you guys left and right here. Playmakers all over the place. Chad Gilchrist, B.J. Davis, Zafir here, and then, of course, Jacoby Durant. Just talk about the secondary that you guys have. You guys have two of the best in HBCU ball.
We put a lot of pressure on them. You know, we tell our guys all the time the secondary and defensive line and front seven go hand in hand. You know, you can't do anything if the secondary is not covering, and you can't do anything if you're not getting a pass rush up front.
Sure.
So anytime you hear me, I always talk about all 11. They'll tell you in practice, all 11 to the football.
Yeah.
You can't do anything without each other, and that's what we preach about, a brotherhood and having each other's back.
Sure thing.
Let me follow that up. I know you can't give us the game plan. I mean, you can, but breaking news here first. But seriously, in schematics, what are some frameworks? What are some things that you want to get done in this contest?
So our philosophy at South Carolina State, even when I played here for Coach, is stop the run. You don't stop running at all costs, but at the same time, we play our game. You play within your framework. You never want to step out. You do the things that's got you here. You know, I'm a man of routine. I work for Coach Strong at Louisville. He was a man of routine. You want to stick to your routine and just keep working.
Great point. Back to you. Oh, go ahead,
Oh,
Joe.
no, I was saying, is there something that jumps out about you with regards to this Jackson State offense?
You gotta limit the big plays. You know, if you see them, you
Yeah.
know they're gonna keep coming no matter what.
Great question.
That's what makes them great. You know, like I said earlier in one of the early interviews, they're 1 or 2 plays away from being 12-0. And you go to Monroe game. You know, they're a great team. They've built this team to be explosive and play hard. You see it on film day in and day out.
In terms of you playing in the game, and then I'm going to ask you something outside of the game. In terms of watching film, obviously you don't get into certain detail, but what are some things in your game that you like to see? Are there some things that you think you can get done or that you would like to get done in the game? And in a framework, what does that look like?
The things I see that I could do in my game, definitely they like to take deep shots. I know definitely in my game, that's something I catch my picks off, deep shots.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm going to try to, stay in my game, stay poised, do what I do.
How have you enjoyed the experience, the bowl experience? Let's get back to the cultural side of this. It so much brings a smile that I see on your face. How have you enjoyed this?
It's great, man. Like I said, I never been in anything like this. I never played past the regular season. So with me being a senior and me being able to, play in all of this and view all of this is crazy. Like I called my mom since we've been here, just like, Mom, this crazy. Like I ain't never been a part of nothing like this, but I definitely appreciate it. And I mean, we work for it, so.
Last question I have for both of you, and we'll ask this, and then you can follow if you want a couple more questions there. How proud are you to bring Coach Buddy Pugh to this? As he talked about that he was chasing this after he decided, hey, this is something I want to do. I'm sure there's a level of pride in terms of how historic he has been to this program. To be straightforward with you, at one point we kind of tried to bury him. He kicked the dirt off and said, no, we're not done yet. Talk about that if you would.
We've been trying to really get here since 19. We came up short in 19, so I mean it's great to actually get him here. He deserves it.
That's right.
If you really look at what he done for the program, for himself, for just in general, it's great. You see how many people he done put in the league. Not many coaches could say they doing that. So to get him here, he deserved that, and we did that.
Yeah, that's a player perspective from a coaching perspective.
Man, it means a lot because I played for him and now I'm coaching for him. It means everything. This is one of our goals. He always wanted to get here, been to the playoffs, and it's another standard for him. We're not here just to be here. We want to, like you say, you want to finish it off the right way and win the game, but it means everything to us as a staff. That's one of our goals we set as a staff, that we wanted to get Coach here, and we accomplished it. But, a job's not done until you finish it. So,
Coach, they say the old boxing axiom, styles make fights. What do you think is the difference between the MEAC style of football and SWAC brand of football?
The SWAC style, they throw it all over the park. There are a lot of explosive offenses. They're more so spread, but they can do whatever you need. With us in the MEAC, it is a lot more run style, take a couple deep shot here and there. So at the same time, we both have similar athletes because in recruiting, we'll run into each other and recruiting the same style. So, the SWAC they have a lot of explosive offense from A&M, FAMU, Jackson State. You see the style of 4 wides, 3x1, 2x2, and throw it all over the park. Run football, you see it. So, but that's the dead game we in now. You see it all over the place. Because you remember Alabama started off in 2 back sets, running it down. Everybody throw it a couple years ago to now they're switched to spread.
From a defensive perspective, is it harder nowadays stopping these offenses that spread you out and make you play in space?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because they put you in a mind where if you loosen up the box to where it's only 5-man box, you're gonna hand the football off. So you got to kind of configure your ways to help your guys out, but you also just like offenses put their guys in the best possible position. We try to do a defense coach put our guys in the best possible position also.
Sure.
Well, I want to say thank you both of you for your time. Good luck this Saturday. Go Bulldogs, like we like to say, each of the coaches and players that are represented. So good luck this weekend.
Good luck.
I will like to give you a chance. Any last things that you want to say to the audience out here before you go forward?
It gotta be in you, not on you.
I like it. I've heard that a couple times. I like that.
That's what they live by. But man, we appreciate all the support from everybody, man. I think this event can be huge. We keep on gaining support for all HBCUs, man. I think it's gonna be big if we continue to do it. So,
well said.
Well said. Yes, indeed.
This is Dr. Cavill, inside HBCU Sports Lab interview with South Carolina State coach Saxon, and we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back after this break. This is Dr. Cavill, inside HBCU Sports Lab.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars plus personal customer service with Slow Burn. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. It's more than a mobile lounge. It's an environment and an experience rich in history, luxury, and personality. An elegant extension of any celebration occasion. It's the perfect escape and meeting place, a space where you can relax or enjoy a shared passion. Have Slow Burn plan your next big event, or before you are planning to celebrate your win over your athletic rival, you can shop our collections at www.slowburnwaco.com.
But if they want to tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside HBCU Sports Lab. We're live here in the Celebration Bowl at Radio Row. We've been talking to some Army officials, and then we get a chance to talk to some Bulldogs, South Carolina State Bulldogs, representing the MEAC in the Celebration Bowl. We got a young man here, Green.
Yes, sir.
Defensive end, big boy. You can see it on film. It looks like he's ready. So, tell everybody where you're from first, and then we'll get into some particulars in terms of how you get to South Carolina State.
I'm from Lamar, South Carolina.
Ah.
Yes, sir.
And talk about how did you get to South Carolina State?
That was like my only offer coming out of high school. So, I mean, when I took the visit, it was like a family environment, and I needed that at that time.
Awesome.
And then once I got on campus and realized this is where I wanted to be, I bought into the system and locked in.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that experience during that time.
During that time, I was a young kid, just blessed to have an opportunity to play at this level. So, I mean, with that,
go ahead.
With that, I mean, it was just a great experience for me.
Yeah. That's huge. Talk about going up against this Jackson State offensive line. What have you seen with regards to them on film?
I mean, doing them is what got them where they at now. So, I mean, all praise to them and their offensive line.
Sure thing. From a defensive standpoint, you guys have faced some stiff competition this year. But is there a team that you would kind of compare this Jackson State team to?
If I want to compare, I would say Norfolk.
Okay.
With the flashy offense and high-scoring offense, high-scoring points, I'll give it to Norfolk.
Sure thing.
Before we get in the coach, I did want to ask you in terms of your style of play.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a pattern or somebody you're patterning yourself, or are there certain things about that stand out to you in terms of your style of play?
None. I just do what I always been doing. Just playing fast, playing physical.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Question I have for you as we have Coach Pugh here. Talk about the fact that you had a chance to bring him, in terms of your play, getting it done as a team, to the Celebration Bowl. How does that make you feel?
I mean, it made me feel great, but it wasn't just me. It was the whole D-line, the whole linebacking core, whole DB core. We just play as one. We don't do the name calling, who the best, who. It's just one group.
He had a lot to do with it, though, I guarantee you. He was real big in the reason we're here.
Jump in there, Coach. Tell us a little about this man. You can see he's singularly focused. Not a lot of words in terms of letting the play speak for itself. But why is he so special to you?
Well, I can tell you that I beat our defensive coaches up because Jablonski be on the sideline by me. I said, hey, man, what the heck y'all doing? This guy, I said, put his ass back in the game. I said, what are y'all doing, man? So, he's a little bit of, and we actually had him down there with us some during the spring. And it was the first time I'd gotten a chance to watch him every day for a while, and I was impressed in a way that I didn't feel like I would be impressed. So,
Yeah.
The guy was developing right before our eyes that way, and he's a Lawrence Taylor kind of, size guy, with a almost a defensive back kind of quick twitches to it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So he's a fast guy. He's a big old guy. And what is he, about two? He thinks
They have him listed at 265, 6'3", redshirt sophomore. But I don't know. I see a lot more.
He is at least that. Okay?
At a minimum.
It's conservative.
I think and Jacoby Durant's a hell of a football player. And they're from the same place, actually, from right over the same neck of the woods. And I can tell you that I think for my money, Jablonski right now is playing as good as anybody in the country.
That's all right.
So tell me a story about Coach. Let's get to good.
No,
Well, never mind. I tried this. Go ahead.
Coach Pugh, there's a long tie-in with South Carolina State and Jackson State. Coach James Big Daddy Carson, of course, was on the coaching staff at South Carolina State. Melvin Pete.
I knew all of those guys.
Yes, sir.
Coach Carson was I came to South Carolina State as a defensive lineman.
Yes.
And wasn't good enough.
Yes, yes, he did. Yes,
so they moved, like we do all the time. We move defensive linemen over the offensive line because we tried to find guys still with a little bit of athleticism, but not quite good to play on the defensive side. But that's what happened with me. And I went over and started on for 4 years at South Carolina State as an offensive lineman. But now Coach Carson was a wonderful human being.
Yes.
And I got a chance to stay in contact with him over the years after he left Orangeburg to move to Jackson. And his wife, we were all friends. Doing it. Now, I didn't know Coach Pete quite as well, but he was a swimming coach and some other stuff around South Carolina State and I was a little boy running around the town that way. So those guys were all legends around Orangeburg. And there's some others too. We had some guys that went back to Grambling, down there too. So there were all kinds of guys, who came to South Carolina State, who moved back to the SWAC in their older parts of their lives.
Amazing history.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, Jablonski, before I get back to Coach, in terms of the atmosphere, how have you felt about this event thus far?
Just being here is amazing because I've never been to Atlanta, so just being here is amazing. So us playing in this atmosphere, knowing it's sold out, is great and all, but we can't let it get to us. We done played in some big spots before, like UCF, USF, Clemson, New Mexico State. So, it being sold out here is just another game to us.
That's right. That's the attitude that you really need to go into a game like that. Back to you, Coach, in terms of you made a statement in terms of originally this is not necessarily the direction you thought the conference should go. Could you share a little more? We kind of just did the surface level, obviously, and I know how you go through a process. So that wasn't something that you just easy came to. So please kind of explain, the full circle about all that.
Well, I guess it's been now 15 years ago. Dr. Thomas brought this idea to us about the Celebration Bowl. At the time, it didn't even have a name, and we had no idea where we were going to play it and how we'd actually determine who went from where. All we knew at that point was the fact that we would no longer be a part of the championship subdivision playoffs, and all of the message boards and all the internet stuff out there was y'all scared of the general population of people, y'all scared of the major white championship subdivision schools, that kind of stuff. So y'all running from the real competition. So rather than allow that to be the message that we were actually trying to support at that time, then we just kind of fought it and just wouldn't hear, the message. Well, eventually we got a chance to get snubbed a couple times by the playoffs. We felt that we were mistreated that way. And then we got in the playoffs a couple times. We got in the playoffs a lot of times, actually.
Right.
And they always ranked, and we lost to Appalachian. At Appalachian 2 years in a row, but Appalachian was like the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
And we were like 60 by less than a touchdown.
Yeah. Right.
So they beat us 1 year up there where we kicking a field goal to actually go ahead.
I watched that game.
Exactly. And we snapped the ball over our guy's head. Actually, our guy was not paying. they did a false signal on their side of the line of scrimmage and got our snapper to snap the
Snap
football.
earlier, and they didn't call
That
it.
left a sour taste in my mouth. I'm telling you.
I'm sure.
So from that point on, then we said, well, you know, this thing doesn't seem to really be working out for us. They don't give us but one opportunity. If we not have one opportunity, then why not try to see if we can actually do something that can make a few bucks for us that way, and be something that our fans will have a little bit better feel for. So we started kind of softening on the idea. Dr. Thomas brought Pete Durson in from the ESPN to actually talk to the coaches and see if he could get the coaches to kind of go in that direction a little bit. It took us a year or so to get that kind of have to be going a little bit, and then he started softening the presence a little bit, and he just kept working it and working it, and it was, you know, more from our side because the SWAC had the availability of going and making this thing happen all the time, because they did not have anything that would preclude them from being able to play a game.
Yeah, had the SWAC championship game.
Exactly. All that stuff had already kind of ruled them out of the playoffs. And then we figured out that we could actually give up our automatic qualifier and still have the opportunity for the rest of our league to get at-large opportunities. So we had a couple of situations where that, I think when Central won it, A&T won, this year it worked out with FAMU doing the same thing. I was really proud of FAMU for getting in this year, because that just kind of showed the full method of what the plan was about that way. So then that gave us a chance to get this thing going. And now that we've done this, let me tell you what, you talk to some of the people in the Southern Conference, you talk to some of the people in the Ohio Valley. One of the Ohio Valley ADs is here this weekend. His
I'm glad you shared it.
It's actually on our staff, and I can tell you that they're foaming at the lips. They can figure out how to, when you start talking about the amount of money that's involved in this thing and the amount of excitement, you know, just the general makeup of how this thing works out, man, let me tell you, if you can find the site, which is what really, you know, makes it go for us, the fact that we got Atlanta here kind of in between us, you know, that just makes it a wonderful, you know, meeting place for the two fan bases to kind of come together. Now, I don't know what happens when, say, Texas Southern, Prairie View, maybe even, you know, we were really rooting. And let me tell you something, we needed Prairie View to be in this game because Prairie View wasn't nearly as hot as Jackson. But let me tell you something, all we wanted was Jackson. And the reason we wanted Jackson was because we had enough sense to understand that it was more about the finances than the game itself, promoting the game and getting it to the point where, you know, it became a bigger and better opportunity for us to make, you know, a big deal out of this thing. So I'm excited that I'm involved with it as it really goes to the next level. And I really feel like, you know, that it's been something that's been long coming, but it's going to, I think, really get bigger and bigger from this point on.
We talk about...
Before you do, I got to say one thing. Go for it. First of all, thanks for going in that level of detail, because we really need that out here so our viewers understand all the things. And I think it also helped in terms of the negotiation. The fact that you didn't jump on it, it expanded the amount that went to the table. So that worked out as well. And lastly, I want to say is, while we're proud of FAMU, South Carolina State should have been in the playoffs a couple years ago. And
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, no, I wanted to talk about the growth of the Celebration Bowl, and Dennis Thomas is getting ready to retire. But what has Dennis Thomas meant to the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference?
Well, you know, he brought it from where it was to where it is now, and he's continued to have it and be a place where, you know, schools can go out and be proud of the fact, you know, that our league is run really well, and you know, we've done some cutting edge kind of things to make. We've been the leader in things like technology. You know, we've got 8 officials now, where a lot of other championship subdivision leagues, you know, only got 7. You know, we're the big time in the instant replay. We were ahead of the game a little bit.
Yes, you were.
And the officials, technology, when the guys got all the headsets, all that kind of stuff. So he's always
ingratiating women into on the official side.
Exactly. He's got women involved, and he's got women involved in his staff that way. So Sonia now is coming into the position as the commissioner that way, based upon the fact that she was his top understudy, you know, as a commissioner for a good many years. So he's been a forward thinker from the very beginning. He's a smart guy. I mean, and he's a SWAC product, so I guess I got to give him a little bit of credit for the fact that he's an Alcorn guy.
He's an Alcorn guy, exactly. Yeah.
But he was the head football coach at South Carolina State
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget that. Don't forget that.
Exactly.
Make sure you teach that history.
Yes, it did.
And the real important part about all football coaches, especially football coaches,
Yes,
is
sir.
we seem to be more students, of our game. We really want to try to do whatever we can to stay on the cutting edge of all. So we exchange film. We've got allegiances going with the NFL, but I get every NFL game in on Tuesday every week of all the games that was played. That I get the end zone, the sideline, and I get the TV copy.
Wow.
Of all those videos, and that's a Dennis Thomas coalition deal that he's put together so that we can actually be able to see all of the hot things that's going on. So if all I got to do is have the time and the energy to go through all that tape, because it's all out there on my video system at home.
They telling us that you got to go. We talked to you all day, but I do want to say this. Any last thing that you want to say to it?
Just grateful to be here. Thank y'all for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. We appreciate
Thank
all
you.
that you're doing for South Carolina State and HBCUs. We really appreciate
You
you.
get a chance to talk to a guy here now. This guy gonna be down the road a piece. Watch it.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Coach.
This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab. You just heard it from Coach Pugh, Brownson Green, in terms of young one, but he's up and coming. They got him listed at 6'5", 263, 265, but no, he doing that, and that handshake is real deal too.
That's a death grip.
He's getting it done in terms of what's going on there. We're going to take this break as we get into it, and we'll be back on the other side and see if there's a couple of other ones we can get in there and get to you some interviews. We got John Grant out there. We'll see if we can get him potentially. So let's get into this break, and we'll be right back after this. Dr. Ville's inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Radio Row here in the Omni. Celebration Bowl 2021. Cricket Wireless.
200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Melvin Online Women's Boutique.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach.
And welcome back into Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Live to you here from Radio Row here at the Celebration Bowl. We've had a tremendous number of guests who have stopped by here at the dais. And we have another guest, South Carolina State running back Kendrell Flowers. Welcome in to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
Thank you for having me.
I tell you what, man, one thing that the MEAC is known for running the football, and you have been a tremendous running back this past season for South Carolina State. But talk a little bit about your Celebration Bowl experience. How's that been for you?
It's been a good experience. Couldn't really enjoy the city too much. You know, we here for one reason, one goal. Mm-hmm. But the city of Atlanta is beautiful, man. This is actually like my first time coming here, so I'll definitely come back and visit.
No doubt, no doubt. You guys have had a formidable schedule. I mean, you've had FBS opponents, SWAC opponents, but talk a little bit about what you see in this Jackson State team. Is there a team that they compare to?
I'll probably say FAM.
Okay.
FAMU. I know they had a pretty close game. Both of them got great defenses, so I'll probably compare them to them.
Sure. You rushed for 811 yards this past season. Talk a little bit about your offensive line and what they've been able to get done for you.
My offensive line been great, man. We got better as the year went. They made my job way, way easier.
Sure.
So I'm always grateful for that.
Yeah. We just had your head coach here, Buddy Pugh, talking to us. What's it like playing for Coach Pugh, man?
Playing for Coach Pugh, man, it's wonderful. I've only known him for about a year now, but he cares about all of his players. We love playing for him. And when you have a coach that believes in you and, wants to see you succeed, I feel like you play harder. So
sure,
we're going to continue to play hard for him.
Sure. One thing that we've seen here at the Celebration Bowl, there was an early signing period. A lot of 3, 4-star, 5-star athletes are now looking at HBCU football. But from a player's perspective, what do you think in regards to this influx, if you will, of players that are looking at HBCUs now?
I mean, I think it's a good step for college football. I love to see more highly rated guys come play for HBCUs. Coming from a PWI, you could just tell the difference in HBCUs. The culture is different. Your teammates, the coaches, the teachers, professors. So I advise everybody to look into HBCUs at least, because you can definitely find a good one that fits you.
Well, that leads me into what led to you going to South Carolina State.
They had a legendary program. I wanted to be a part of that. Playing at home, it's no better feeling than playing at home. Having your loved ones in the crowd cheering you on. So that was a big reason why I came here.
Sure thing. Well, I know you're pressed for time. Is there anything you want to tell your South Carolina State Bulldog fan?
Hey, man, pull up and show out.
There it is.
Yeah,
no
that's
doubt.
all I got to say.
Man, I appreciate you stopping by the lab, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
No doubt. That was Kendrell Flowers. He is running back for South Carolina State. He will take on this formidable Jackson State defense, and we'll come right back here on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
another shot.
One enemy remaining.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Welcome back into Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, coming to you live from Radio Row here here at the Omni Hotel here at Celebration Bowl. As Doc selfies himself up here.
Say, man, you never know.
There you go. Get it in.
Get it in. All right, back to business. This is Dr. Ville, inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Thank you for holding it up for me. You know, hey, man, it's been a long couple of days, and we just getting started.
Yes.
But I have a good friend of mine and of the show in terms of supporter. But he's here not just to be celebration, but he actually has a great celebration. His father is going into the SWAC Hall of Fame. This is none other than Dr. Roderick Holmes. Talk about your dad. Tell everybody who doesn't know, who is your dad?
My dad is Ernie Holmes, still current a member, you know. Pittsburgh Steelers, two-time Super Bowl champion. So, you know.
Yeah, you don't have to say much more than that.
Hey, when you said steel curtain, Pittsburgh Steelers, that's enough.
Right. Texas Southern University's own.
Yes, sir.
Tell me this before we get into just how proud you are, but how cool is it to teach at the institution that your father played and really cultivated his skill before he went to the NFL, became a part of that legendary Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl championship team?
Man, it is amazing. Like I said, my dad actually used to take me on campus with him when I was 2 years old, and so he credits that with me becoming getting a PhD in mathematics. I'm a professor in the Department of Mathematical Science, and he says that apparently I was paying attention and I learned some things while I was sitting in the classroom. But it is amazing I get to carry on his legacy, even though his legacy was in the athletic arena. I get to carry on in the academic arena, and so I get to mentor kids. Awesome. I get to help them get to their goals, fulfill their goals. So it is awesome.
Well said. Well said. That.
How heavy is that? A PhD in mathematics. My God.
Yes, it is very heavy. It's not that many of us. I'm one.
And you talking about that's a unicorn? You know, you like to see unicorn.
Exactly.
That's
a unicorn.
Right,
exactly.
Right. I'm one of four to get a PhD in the Department of Mathematics at the University of Houston. And Dr. Willie Taylor was second. Dr. Evelyn Thornton, who was a longtime professor at Prairie View, was first. And then my good friend.
She's why I did the applied masters in the mathematics computation.
Right.
I did all the coursework, didn't do the thesis because that's the only thing they had. And I had a job opportunity I couldn't let go, and I ended up finishing masters, but not the mathematics.
That's understandable. That happens a lot where people get into a doctoral program or a graduate program, and because of career detours, if you will, they have to pursue those opportunities. Sure. You can't, because it takes a lot of sacrifice and commitment to work on a PhD. I mean, I made like $1,500 a month for 7 years while I was pursuing a PhD. And, luckily my mom, she's like, hey, as long as you're going for the doctorate, you can stay at my house for free. And of course, my dad was very supportive. I was very nervous because, when you get a PhD, you have to take a qualifying exam. Mm-hmm. All right, and so you take a qualifying exam on like 3 areas of math. And so the day of my qualifying exam, my dad's calling me like, yeah, we're going out to Dave & Buster's and celebrate, you getting this milestone. And I'm like, dude, I haven't paid but
that lets you know how proud he was of you and how he played the game in a lot of ways.
Right.
He was all in it. That's what he was. He believed what he thought and get it done. And a lot of times he doesn't necessarily get the credit he deserves because of the position he played.
Exactly.
It's a lot more celebrated now than it is then.
Right.
But you talking about all those other Hall of Famers that are around him,
Right.
there's no way that they get the accolades he gets in
Right.
terms of him not doing schematically what he needs to do.
Right, exactly.
So I'm so excited that at least at this level, and hopefully the other one comes as well, but the SWAC Hall of Fame is there.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, like you said, he played defensive tackle, and unfortunately, Hall of Fames have become more like skill position Hall of Fames. You know, where you reward people just catch a lot of touchdowns, or throw a lot of touchdown passes, or you play defensive end, outside linebacker, and you accumulate a lot of sacks. But defensive tackles, that's not their job. You know, even though my dad did lead the Steelers in sacks twice in '74 and in '75 with 11 and 8.5. So
Put it out there. Put it out there.
right. But he played defensive tackle, and when you play defensive tackle, your first job is to stop the run first.
Yeah.
Right. Or
Yeah.
to take on blockers so that the linebackers will be free up to make tackles. And so it's hard to quantify,
Other than, to me, qualifying about the success the team had.
Right. Yeah.
Part of your qualifying has to be that you point out that this team had a high level of success, and the reason it had a high level of success is certain players did certain things that allowed other players to be at the level they are.
Exactly.
I do want to follow up, and I'll let Charles have a question. No, your schedule's busy and moving around because they got you doing all these different
Yes,
things,
sir.
but that's cool. You deserve that, and I'm so proud of you, the fact that you're carrying on that legacy.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk a little bit, because this is the SWAC Hall of Fame.
Right.
Talk a little bit about his career at Texas Southern that you either remember or now have read and have engulfed.
Well, unfortunately, I have not been able to find a lot of stats. But, talking to some of the people that played with him, they said that he was a man on campus. They won a SWAC title, even though it was co-champion in 1968. They shared it with Alcorn and Grambling. They went to Lorman and beat Alcorn, and they beat Marino Castle, who was a future Hall of Famer. We didn't know it yet in 1968.
Right.
And then, but they never could beat Grambling because you got another Hall of Famer, Eddie Roberts.
Ralph Cooper talks about that all the
He's
time.
dropping the jewels, and he just dropped it just like that. It's
Exactly. That was
My dad played when they were.
Right. But we have to be thankful to Bill Nunn, because Bill Nunn pretty much convinced the Steelers to go out and recruit the SWAC. LC is a 10th round draft pick, LC Greenwood.
Yeah.
Ernie is an 8th round draft pick, but they became legends as part of the Steel Curtains. Because like Dion flipped the guy. Right. But the HBCUs used to be fertile recruiting ground back in that during that time.
Definitely.
Right.
And let me ask this question, because the Pittsburgh Steelers brand is such a national brand. There are people that are, exactly, to steal the nation, but to kind of be within that family and be embedded within that family. How is that? How was that?
Growing up in Houston, Steeler Nation was there starting, but it was very hard for me growing up in Houston. Because,
I can imagine.
Because back then the Steelers and the Oilers were in the same division. Not the same. They were in the same conference, but they were in the same division. So,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so the Steelers played the Oilers twice. And so I used to go to the Dome and watch my dad play, and then had to go back to school. Even though I was in elementary school. And have to face the wrath of the other fans being dejected because they lost to the Steelers. So and then I couldn't do anything wrong because it's like all my teachers graduated to TSU or were familiar with my dad, and so they were like, I'm gonna tell your dad, you get out of line. So it was fun time. I had Steeler jerseys, Steeler jackets, Steeler everything, went around the neighborhood, and but everybody on Gypsy Lane back in Houston. They are very proud and happy.
I can just imagine, because you could have been in that Mean Joe Coke commercial.
I probably could. I probably should have.
Iconic commercial.
We still be looking at this today. Not surprised he ain't sneak back there somewhere in the corner. You got to watch it.
Right.
With that, give us your fondest memory about the time, or even now, in terms of all that's going on. What really sticks with you?
Wow. The Super Bowls.
Wow.
I didn't get to travel to Super Bowls.
I understand.
But just watching your dad on TV, playing in the Super Bowl against the Vikings. And against, because he played 2 Super Bowls. He played the Vikings and then he played the Cowboys. I want to say the Cowboys was the famous tight end. He dropped the ball game, but the Vikings game, man, was so just special.
You had to bring that up.
Right? I know.
Right.
I had that NFL Films image just burned in me.
Right.
He dropped the ball.
Yeah. But the Vikings was like total domination by the defense. I mean, I want to say they held the Vikings to like 129 yards of total offense.
That Super Bowl was at Rice Stadium, right?
No, actually it was in Tulane Stadium.
Okay, Tulane Stadium.
Tulane Stadium. They played in Tulane.
And it was a college.
Yeah.
It was a college stadium. And all his everybody in Jasper, because my dad is from Jasper, Newton, Jamestown area. They all drove down, and it was a fun time.
Jimmy Wilson talking about that was Jackie Smith dropped that ball.
Jackie Smith dropped the ball. Yeah.
I mean, we was in trouble, man. We was in trouble, and so we thank Jackie Smith. We repeat, but that wasn't their best season. As a defense, their best season as a defense was the 76 season.
Okay.
I mean, you looked at the last 10 games of the 76 season, they were 9-1. They only allowed 46 points, and they had 36 sacks.
How proud was your father, Ernie Holmes, in terms of the SWAC?
He was very proud of the SWAC. He used to visit Texas Southern all the time. I mean, one of his good friends and classmates was Kelly Burrows. In fact, in 76, they only allowed 3 touchdowns in the last 10 games, and one of them was a 69-yard touchdown pass to Kelly Burrows. So.
Of all the people, right?
Of all the people, right? But Double O and my dad close, and real good friends, and it's just proud being Ernie Holmes' son. I mean, it's just when I walk across campus, it's starting to get out because it wasn't well known.
Right, it wasn't, but it'll appropriate it, and you did it the right way.
Yeah.
In terms of letting it come to you, getting the information, and I'm glad I could play a small role in what that is. But I'm saying that your family deserve this.
Thank you.
So please enjoy it, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
Most definitely.
Through what you have. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Really honor you.
Right.
Any last words that you want to say that we
Man, thank you, man. He's a man on campus, Dr. Cavell. Oh my God! In fact,
Very much so.
They need to change this from Dr. Cavell to Dean. But he's an asset to the university. The sports management program at Texas Southern University is top of the line.
I concur.
They study from an HBCU's perspective, and which rightfully so. You are at an HBCU.
Exactly.
You should be studying from an HBCU's perspective. So thank you for your friendship, and thank you for. We're good friends, man. There's no secret around campus.
No doubt about it. Which gets us in trouble sometimes. But that's a whole nother story. We won't go there. This is Dr. Cavell inside the HBCU with my friend Dr. Holmes talking about his father, Ernie Holmes, that has been inducted to the SWAC Hall of Fame. Well deserved. Some ways would say overdue, but everything comes at the right time. So this is the right time. With your daughter being able to really understand a little more of it. Let's think about that in terms of that. And make sure you tell your wife hello and appreciate her support in terms of what she does for you and just us allowing us to do the things in terms of university, push things forward. So tell her I said thank you.
Yes, most definitely.
This is Dr. Cavell inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We're going to take a break as we get into you. Hope you enjoyed that interview with Dr. Holmes talking about Ernie Holmes going into the SWAC Hall of Fame. We'll do that this evening, and then we'll get a little chance to check on the Celebration Bowl with the SWAC champion Jackson State, as well as South Carolina State, the MEAC champion. And we continue to see that grin from Charles Bishop and the little frown from Roy Evans. Yeah, we're going to give it to you. This is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes,
we'll see if we can line up the interview shortly, but let's take this break and we'll get right back into it.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars plus personal customer service with Slow Burn. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. It's more than a mobile lounge.
It's an environment and an experience rich in history, luxury, and personality. An elegant extension of any celebration occasion. It's the perfect escape and meeting place, a space where you can relax or enjoy a shared passion. Have Slow Burn plan your next big event, or before you are planning to celebrate your win over your athletic rival, you can shop our collections at www.slowburnwaco.com.
But if they want to tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have one final interview we're probably going to give you, another special guest, but this gives us a chance to get in the game a little bit. And as we do that, I wanted to ask you, Charles, are you starting to feel it?
Oh, very much so. I mean, Zafir Kelly, when he stopped through, Jablonski Green, and then Kendrell Flowers, these are guys that when you're facing them, the statistics just pop in your head immediately. So, it's like...
Yeah, I saw you flapping through your thing. You was like, yeah, I got some of these folks. I just need to get to it real quick.
This is going to be a great game. And then when you talk about the tradition of South Carolina State football, it is interesting because it looks exactly like Jackson State football.
Yep.
Jackson State 17 SWAC championships. South Carolina State 18 MEAC championships. I talked with Coach Pugh about the tie-in from James Big Daddy Carson, former head coach at Jackson State
Yeah,
University.
I'm
who
so
came
glad
from
you got
South
that
Carolina
on the
State.
record.
Yeah, so it is a team that both teams they in so many ways they really look alike.
I just
Ro?
want to say, fam, you gonna be here next year.
Oh, okay. You just want to get that on the record.
Isn't that beautiful?
You get that on the you get that on the record.
Now,
You get that on the record.
he has to get through. He has to get through Jackson State to get here, but
Yeah.
okay.
Well, the problem is you got to do a whole SWAC thing, and it's
like
they say, you got to beat the champ to beat the champ.
oh, that's right. That's true.
Much
That's true.
respect to them Tigers.
Yes, sir.
I like that.
Yes, sir.
As we do that, let me talk about the MEAC donates nearly 400 toys to local charity ahead of Cricket Celebration Bowl. That's Cricket Wireless Celebration Bowl. First ever toy drive challenge in partnership with Toys for Tots has officially concluded, beginning in early November and running through the first week of December. MEAC member institutions set up drop sites on campus and athletic events and children toy donations ahead of the holidays.
Let me say this, and that is tremendous. Kate Johnson, her class. Shout out to Kate Johnson, her class. They are enjoying Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. So
man,
shout out
Kay,
to the class.
Kay.
So we appreciate you guys.
And Kay is so beautiful in terms of her heart. She was wondering if we're going to do something live. We got it last minute and made it work. But she was going to allow us to do it in an apartment that looked over the city. So that would have been a great landscape. So I really was thinking about that. But as things would have it, time didn't allow us to put all this together. So I always want to make sure we celebrate Kay. The way she opens up her arms and making sure that we're getting it in. And then sharing the love with the students. Boy, I tell you, that's a beautiful thing.
That's a beautiful thing.
So this matchup. Let's talk about this matchup. You know, it's time to kind of get to where the rubber meets the road now, Charles. Talk to the players. Obviously, we've talked to Jackson State multiple times, so now we got a chance to really talk to South Carolina State, so it worked out in a lot of ways. Anything in this game that really has your focus more than maybe you did as we talked about this earlier in the week?
They touched on various data points, and I think Coach Pugh even said it when you talk about the different styles of the leagues. The MEAC is a league that they like running the football, and we had one of their running backs, Kendrell Flowers, who stopped by to talk to us. It's going to be incumbent, I think, on Jackson State's defensive line. Much as they've done all season, you know, is they've got to be able to stop the run. And if they are fortunate enough to be able to limit South Carolina State on first and second down, then you get to see that Jackson State defensive line. You get to see that defensive speed. You get to see those guys.
How much in this game do you see as a defensive game, and how long do you see it as a defensive game, if so?
I think it's very much going to go very much into the third quarter in terms of being a defensive game.
Okay.
And we've talked about how there is a point where Jackson State at some point kind of wears you down a little bit. So that will be a very interesting thing to see, you know, when we get into the fourth quarter. From a stamina standpoint, where will South Carolina State be?
I know we saw in the championship game was a special teams play. They've been rolling these highlights, top 10 plays of the Celebration Bowl, and it was intriguing to me. I saw that, some kickoff returns, punt returns. I think in this game, you know, obviously a lot of people are going to be focused on Jackson State, but you had that same opportunity with South Carolina State.
Very much so.
I'm really fascinated early on as they're feeling each other, and it's more the defensive game that you talk about. I'm intrigued who may pop that special teams play.
That's going to be a very interesting thing to watch in terms of special teams play. Who can make that play?
And like a block field goal, or whether, you know, punt return.
And South Carolina State has one of the best field goal kickers in the MEAC. He's 10 of 11 thus far on the season. But and I've said this schematically, I thought Southern did the best all season of taking that third rail away from Jackson State, the special teams rail, because Zay Bolden is all SWAC. He sees the field different in terms of being a kick returner. We saw that in the SWAC championship game. He was able to break one. Warren Newman, he's broken multiple punt returns in terms of getting deep in the opponent's territory. So they're both dangerous return men. But Southern was able to take that away. They kicked away from Zay Bolden. They kicked away from Warren Newman. and they made it a defensive matchup.
Do you see that on the opposite side? Special teams in terms of Jackson State kicking the ball to South Carolina State. Anything in their special teams in terms of them bringing something, or because we look at it one way in terms of what Jackson State, but what about the other way in terms of what your special teams, field goal kicking, those concerns? How does that look?
Field goal kicking is a definite concern. That has not been a strong point of Jackson State whatsoever this past season. When you take a look at it, they have just not been consistent even on extra points. From a kickoff and
you think
punt,
they go for 2 a couple times, or are they going to try to?
I think.
Or how long?
If you mess around and miss an extra point with Dion, he's liable to go for 2 from there on out. So. But the reality of it is, Jackson State has not given up that big play on kickoffs or given up that big play on punts. So that's just something that we haven't seen. Coach Alan Ricard has been tremendous.
So that's a key thing to watch. The fact that they do not have the habit of giving it up.
Right.
So that's something that you want to continue to see, and it's certainly, unfortunately, if it does happen, you talking about something that can really throw dynamic change in the game.
Exactly.
So those are things why I say keep your eyes on it, because there's always the multiple facets of a game that come in there in terms of what that looks like. Go ahead.
No, I mean, when you take a look at South Carolina State offensively, they have some game changers, some game breakers. We talked about Shaq Davis, 38 catches on the season, 769 yards. He is averaging 20 yards a catch in the MEAC.
I really like that you bring Shaq Davis at, because some people talked about the fact that he may not have been as consistent as he was, but I think part of that was his injury. Which may help that the 5 weeks or so helps in terms of some of those folks that may have some nicks.
Yeah.
Does he play to the level we've seen him play at, or does he shift away? That matchup between corners,
He's going to get one-on-one matchups. He's going to get some definite one-on-one matchups.
Who do you see him matching up against? Both of them? Or just one of them?
Well, in terms of, I think you'll see Nugget Warren from time to time on him. You'll see. I think he's one of Jackson State's better cover men. But one thing that we know about Jackson State's defense is they leave those corners on the island, and they let that front seven do what they do.
So that's the point you always make.
Yeah.
Is the time there?
Yeah.
And this is another case that we've seen with John Pass. You may not necessarily get to him in terms of putting him on the ground, but can you get to him enough to maybe make him just a rush, just a little bit, speed him up?
Yeah.
And you're not to be disrespectful to South Carolina State, but you're not playing Kill Glass, who we even saw that could speed it up. He put up yards, but he did so much damage to other folks. But, as you talk about Southern, that was pretty solid at the quarterback position, at least early, maybe left some things on the table there. But that's something to watch, too, is you may have a big-time receiver that can make some plays, but can you get the ball to him to make those plays?
Right.
Will you have that time to do that in this particular matchup? So that's interesting.
And that's one of the things, in talking to Dennis Thurman, sometimes it's not, it's the pressure. It's the
perceived.
The perceived pressure. Seeing ghost. If you get enough hits on the quarterback, they will start seeing an extra pressure.
And you see that that's I mean, that's a great defense, but that's endemic of the game of football.
Exactly.
We see that at the professional. Tom Grady,
exactly.
Most people think is one of the greatest of all time, certainly arguably one of those. You put pressure on him, and he talked about that in games he's done that.
Sure.
He started to see ghosts.
I think
see him ducking
I think for this little stretch of period now that you kind of see Dak Prescott going through that, where he's seeing extra pressures from somewhere because he's quote unquote in this slump.
It is fatigue. If
exactly.
So let's talk about the young gun, Shedeur Sanders at the quarterback position, getting all these accolades. Tell us about his demeanor. He doesn't seem to me as a person that's going to let these accolades get to him. He seems pretty focused.
Yeah.
Am I on point with that, or am I missing something?
He is the oldest acting 19-year-old I've ever seen in my life. His nickname is Grown for a reason. He is ridiculously mature. Just from the standpoint, Doc, that he's neither too up or too down until the game is over, and you kind of see that whatever come off his shoulders. And where he really kind of opens up. We've had an opportunity with the pregame show to, we're trying to do these in-game interviews, and he, whenever we come to him, it's always minimal. I'm locked in, and when he's locked in, he's focused in on what he needs to do. And there was a couple of occasions where he's like, not right now. I'm locked in. I'm trying to get something done. So and it's completely understandable. But I mean, that is the sort of personality that he is. Where he's not too up, not too down, but he's.
I would say in a lot of ways it's a gift in itself. Yeah, obviously, I'm sure he's had a certain level of training that allows him to get there, but some of that is innate. In a lot of ways too.
Yeah.
Get a little further in that when we start talking about the cast of characters, for lack of better words, surrounding him. We know we got big-time receivers. To me, the question, if there's been a question mark, and this is not just to pick on somebody, but this is really to go in the game, is it offensive line?
Sure.
When they can get it done, and they have pushed some teams around, they can put up the numbers in terms of wide receiver, or they can run the ball.
Right.
It's in championship game.
Yeah.
He matriculated and kept pushing. By the end of the game, had 100-plus yards, right? Started slow. I saw it in a couple other games. You've seen him put big plays, timely plays.
Yeah.
If he's able to get that time, where do you think? You think they're going to do a little more run, pass? Obviously the words want to be balanced. Is that the case, or is there something that you may have heard that they're looking for that they think they should exploit, need to exploit, or must exploit to get this victory?
I think consistency has been a theme with the offensive line all season. They has been as consistent as you want them to be. We've seen times where they have opened up holes for Jackson State running backs. They've had a couple of games where they've rushed for over 100 yards. But they've also had quite a few games where they haven't gotten to 60 yards rushing. So consistency has been a huge thing. And then another interesting stat with regards to
this is one game that you really need to be consistent.
Yeah, this is one game you really need to lock in.
If you go find the game that you go in,
exactly. And then I think a very interesting stat, if I'm not mistaken, Shedeur has been sacked close to maybe over 30 times, if I'm not mistaken. I have to take a look at that stat again, but he's been hit a few times. So the big thing is protecting him. If you are able to
that goes two ways when you talk about that. One, his ability to bounce back when he does get hit and still make plays, but it also means that to some degree they could be susceptible of getting a sack. He had those 2 interceptions in that Southern game where they put a little more pressure on him.
Sure.
So you're right. That dynamic, can South Carolina State do that?
Yeah.
In such a way, and the question is can they do it with the front 4, front 7, or do they feel like they're going to have to bring somebody?
Yeah.
And against Jackson State,
that's gonna
with the
create
wide
some
receiver,
exactly.
if you got to do it with somebody,
if you got to bring extra
pressure,
pressure, guess what?
And traditionally, all season long, this young gun, this freshman, freshman, player of the year, FCS, SWAC freshman of the year,
right?
He showed that he'll find those receivers.
And I think that speaks to how good Shedeur has been as a freshman. His resiliency to not always have a running game that he could rely on for the number of times that he's been hit. He's still only given up 5 interceptions thus far on the season. He's closing in to over 30 touchdown passes. So his resiliency is something that has really jumped out with me with regards to watching him up close this year. And like I said, he's never too up, never too down. He's always somewhere right in the middle and always focused on the next play. So I think that goes a long way toward where this Jackson State football team has gone this season.
Yes, as I return this message and trying to look up some additional things, I did want to talk about NFL draft prospects to watch during the Celebration Bowl. James Houston, you know him very well in terms of seeing his motor and things like that. They talk about Houston transferred Jackson State from the University of Florida as a graduate student in 2021. Linebacker racked up 100 tackles, 10.5 tackles for a loss, 4.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles in 4 seasons with the Gators, but coming to Jackson State and just has wrecked shop. 47 tackles, 14.5, 4 forced fumbles, and a sack in his final collegiate regular season with Jackson State. Talk a little bit about him and why he's special.
James Houston has been tremendous this past season for Jackson State. His quickness and his get off has been second to none, and he's closing in on Jackson State's single season sack record held by Fernando Newbreed Smith. And interestingly enough, that is how he got to Jackson State. He and Fernando's son are best friends, so that's a very interesting
look at how they work.
Yeah, exactly. But when you talk about James Houston, he has just been unblockable at times, and then he's so athletic. We got an opportunity to see that in the SWAC championship game for him to start up field and to make that huge interception that kind of salted that game away. But you're talking about his athleticism, and all season long, Doc, he still wanted to go back to his linebacker position. Although he's been they moved him from linebacker to defensive end to take advantage of that speed that he has, and he has found something coming off the edge.
Keep Corbin the third. Corbin is a senior wide receiver at Jackson State and the go-to guy, in many people's opinion, with the Tigers offense. Corbin spent 5 seasons at University of Houston before transferring to Jackson State 2021. Wideout tallied 2,364 yards, 159 receptions, 19 touchdowns, and 6-year collegiate career. Talk about him.
Yeah, in so many ways, Keith Corbin has been a safety blanket for Shedeur. You take a look when Warren Newman especially went down for a couple of games with a knee injury. Keith Corbin really stepped up, and he works middle of the field. He gets those tough little dig routes and things of that nature and yak yardage. But he's a guy who can get deep on you as well, and he really takes advantages of those matchups on those nickel DBs that are trying to cover him man on man. And a lot of times he wins those battles.
Last one, we're going to go to the South Carolina State side. Jacoby Durant is senior defensive back, South Carolina State. You talked about the pair of them earlier, but he's the MEAC Defensive Player of the Year. You don't always get that from a defensive back, so you know he was talented in terms of what he get done. Durant had a stellar career with South Carolina State, including 37 tackles, so not only does he get in the mix in terms of defending receivers and getting interceptions, but he can do it in terms of making tackles. He led the league in pass defense, defended with 14 and tied for second in interceptions with 3. 2 of those interceptions came against Clemson Tigers, team that was nationally ranked in September at that time. He proved his ability to play and could transfer against tougher competition. What do you think? Thoughts on Jacoby Durant?
Bonafide pro prospect. You talked to a lot of one of the things I've talked to Jackson State assistant coaches this past week, and they were tremendously impressed by his cover skills. So you mentioned it, 3 interceptions, tied for the lead there in the MEAC, 14 pass breakups. So he's getting some work, he's getting some action, and he's making plays. So there's going to be some interesting matchups with him going against Miles Wagman, who is 6'4", and Shane Hooks, who is 6'5", and then you'll see Keith Corbin move out there as well, depending on the formation. So he's going to get plenty of opportunities to go against other potential pro prospects on this national,
that's why I love
TV stage. So this is going to be a phenomenal opportunity.
It's not one-sided in terms of these pro prospects. They're all over the field. Some of them may be a little younger now, as we talked about defensive end. Brownsky, Green, in terms of what he might bring to the table, which a lot of people hadn't quite talked about because of his age and things of that nature. But they're all over the field.
Yeah, redshirt sophomore.
2 very proud programs in terms of history. And so they're not going to give an inch. You're going to play through this game and get it done. So you're going to get a chance to earn this where you want to earn it, on the field.
On the field.
With that being said, thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. I want to thank Charles for really putting up the time and getting up. I don't know if y'all know the labor of love of the multiple hats he plays and how deep he gets in there and what he has to do, making sure he happens, and he puts up with me, pulling him around and like a change, like, man, let's do this, and he just says yes. Thank you for Roy Evans in terms of always finding a way. He was on the road getting things done, and he's in multiple facets, but he finds a way to make it happen, so I want to do that. Shout out again to Dr. Holmes, Roger Holmes, for being here and supporting me in multiple facets to make this happen. And giving a shout out to Kevin Granger. He's not in here, but he always provides me a lane of support that I can't get in a lot of places, and why a lot of this comes true in terms of the support I get at Texas Southern University. Shout out to them. Again, I want to thank you for listening.
Shout out to the lab listeners as well. Kate Johnson, Chuck Hunt, Lonnie Shaw, and Jimmy Wilson. Thank you all as well.
Well said. Appreciate it. I always want to shout out those lab listeners. You all the reason that we do this and put in this extra energy and time. Look for us. We're going to try to give you one more on Sunday to close out and let you know our thoughts. We'll try to go at our regular time. We might have to switch it up, so just stay with us. We'll try to get you that as much as possible. We'll send some stuff out there. We'll pass on the torch. Check out the pregame show. They'll be giving you some live stuff in action. They got some practice stuff coming up today that they'll be a part of. More importantly, you know what they do at the game, pregame information, in-game assignments as well, the pregame show. So they'll give you that. With that, we're signing off. Check out Brian and AD. They'll be bringing you some stuff, right, in terms of they normally do? So I guess they are staying behind the scene, putting in some other works. I thought they were going to sneak in and do something. So they'll give you some after review for sure in terms of what's going on. BJ Jones, the crew with my JVN. So download the apps. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattacavil. Again, that's DrKenyattacavil. Dream big. Well, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter. Got to say that fast. Facebook, YouTube, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Do you have a time that they can, or at least a general time that they need to start checking in to see when the pregame goes?
Yeah, we're looking at a window probably about 7 p.m. This evening. So we'll see.
That'll be Eastern time?
That'll be actually Central time. So Eastern
Central
time will be just a little later. So.
Okay. Yeah, that work. And they're going to be in the host hotel. So
yeah.
You want to check this out. I want to kind of tease that out.
You're going
to get a vibe.
Well, Jackson State is having a meet and greet at the Hilton Atlanta tonight, and what we are looking at is really showcasing our fan base and showcasing our fan base's fervor. The Sonic Boom of the South.
I might dip my toe in there, but that man, they go them voices.
They're staying at the hotel.
They will take care of you. They do like to pass around the country.
Exactly. A lot of alumni will be there, so we're looking forward to putting that show out there for our Jackson State fan base. And I tell you what, they will be here tonight in Pros.
They're already here, man.
Getting right, exactly. They're already here. Yeah, they're already here. They're already here.
Cut that out, man. Cut that out. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on YouTube again, Facebook, YouTube, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Roy?
Lecture.
Dismiss.